Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Overwatch 2 playoff time for UAA Seawolves. Already starting it off, we got UAA up against MSU White in the quarterfinals. MSU White is the 4th seed, with UAA coming in with the 5th seed overall after the long 7-week regular season. And we're going to be starting it off hot with a ball comp, starting off with Etho, as we're usually seeing with the Junker Queen and the Ramatra comp. So this time around, we're going to be getting a little bit of a different look. Starting with the Pharmacy, it's going to be a little bit tough for this MSU team to kind of reach over to that side as we do take out the cast. 2 players are going to be falling as well as part of that Pharmacy. Both DPS down, but we still have the healers in hand for UAA. That distraction from Etho, also known as Star Chicken, is definitely going to have to prove a lot useful here for our team. Force that Ramatra to kind of turn around here. That Suzu is going to be pulled, but no really follow-up to it. And unfortunately, MSU is going to take that first point for the time being. Time's ticking up. All banks look fairly similar as of now. In terms of win conditions, it's really going to be all up to that Ramatra ult on the side of MSU, followed up by the Riptire. But we're going to have to see a lot of work done on the side of UAA. Really, the only win cons we have is that Sojourn and Pharah ult. This Pharmacy is definitely going to have to prove a lot useful here. Smokey, unfortunately, is going to be the first one to fall. That's just going to be the Mercy all left in standing. Going to get the res off, however, to bring some more sustain. But 3 members of the side of UAA are going to fall. UAA, or Etho rather, is able to bounce him up, get Juno down. But the rest of the remaining members aren't there to follow up, unfortunately. We are able to garner an ult here, but it's going to be up against the high noon of cast, so definitely going to be one to look out for, as there's not really much you can do about it other than the Suzu of Kiriko. Very unlucky Junkrat kill from the side of Artemis. But talk about Artemis, might as well look at the UAA team comp, as we've seen a lot of different comps from our squad. This time around, it's going to be Artemis on the DPS. Lance, the team captain, will be sitting out this match, but we do have a Duck on the Duck and Smokey as our supports going into this one. A little bit of a rough start for the side of UAA. They have not played Nepal this entire season so far, so definitely a very interesting one to go into, as they're not really used to being played on this map, as they're usually on the Lijiang Tower. And that is a little bit of a dagger for the side of Etho. He's going to be the first one to fall. UAA has to touch the point now. Pharah with an insane ult to able to get one. Res comes from Etho, and he's able to come back alive. Now the fight is going straight onto the point. Smokey has to stay alive, but she's the first to fall. Etho's able to get the trade onto the Junkrat, but the Juno ult comes through. Mercy has her ult, but it's not really going to be able to do much if it's not able to keep Etho alive. They're trying to touch, dance, bob, and weave all onto this point, but the Ramatra Molly is able to stop Etho, and unfortunately, the first map in Nepal will go in the hands of MSU White. And nobody said that this was going to be an easy game whatsoever. As we've seen in the regular season, there was a lot of hectic games, if you want to put it lightly. But this time going into the playoffs, there is no freebies. There is no bad teams. Everyone here has deserved it. Has deserved to make it here. Nice shot from the side of Lord. Bang it into the basket there, but as I was saying, every team from here on out has absolutely worked their tail off to get into this position to hopefully win a trophy at the end of it. UAA is no different. So it's definitely going to be a tough game. It's going to rely on a lot of plays from each team and really exactly how they're going to adapt to the comps that they're being met up against. We haven't really played that much Ramatra comps this season, which is very surprising. Last week, we unfortunately had to deal with a Maga comp before his nerf. Nice kill from the side of Artemis to start things off onto the pick of the Junkrat. Next one up is definitely going to have to be that Cassidy, as the Cassidy really corners like pretty much our entire roster. Stops Etho with the flashbang, as well as cuts down the wings of the Mercy and the Pharah. So a lot of the swings here is definitely going to have to be eyes on Cass. Cass super low, but the heals are just absolutely focusing on him. Smokey and Lord, the Sojourn, are split up, not able to help each other out. And that's going to be a first wipe for MSU, taking the point so far. Junkrat trap able to get found out. Nice plays by Etho. This is definitely a very interesting comp. As you can tell, in theory, you have Etho going into those backlines and disturbing everybody, knocking everybody up, and Artemis just dealing non-stop poke damage and just hoping that Lord can find a pick in the chaos. Obviously, Pharah Mercy, day one strategy. As we see here, Etho causing havoc, opening up the sight lines for that Pharah. Almost gets taken out. But talking about that Pharah, it's going to be right behind him, trying to find any pick possible. But that Murmacha is just finding just so much value with that Molly, taking them all down. High Noon comes out, and it's not going to be able to find any value, but it was able to group them all up behind a pillar and take out the Mercy. Pharah still looking for any sort of pick possible. The perks are coming through on both sides. Unfortunately, Artemis will fall as well as the Kiriko. Lord is stuck, and just unfortunately, GPS not really able to find as much value in this game. And with only 70%, it does look like UAA is going to stick to try to at least find out with the ults going into this next fight. Etho with the mines. But in response, though, it is that Riptire and Ramantra ult to combat against everything. Pharah should get her ult as well as Sojourn, so definitely going to be a 4-on-5 in terms of ult fight. Juno's a little bit slow to the punch on getting her ult. Mines are going to come out with alongside the Kitsune Rush. It's going to be fighting on to the point. They're able to knock all the players off. Smokey has to utilize the Suzu, but gets the TP and gets out of dodge. Now, trying to find as many picks as possible. It's going to be Artemis able to get the first pick, but with ult in hand, she's going to fall. They're able to get the last fight onto the Cass, and just like that, UAA is able to win the fight and not expend too many ultimates. They only use the mines in the Kitsune. So now going into this next fight, they do have at least enough, because MSU didn't really use any of their own. So they do have at least enough to try to defend themselves, per se, from the MSU's onslaught. But they're going to have to be the ones to engage with their ults with no defensive ults in hand. And that's just the tough part about playing with a Mercy Kiri combo. You don't really have any defensive ults. You just kind of have to take it onto the attack. Lord is going to have to try to pop that ult soon, but Artemis and Etho just say no worries about that. We get the first 2 picks, but that's going to be Smokey down, so the heals are definitely going to be very scarce here. Stuck, unfortunately, is not going to be able to pop the Battle Mercy, and Lord's going to have to do the unthinkable, but unfortunately, he's just not able to find anything. Now just leaves Etho all alone to try to get this into overtime. He's able to get the touch. He's able to get on just for a little bit longer to extend the time. Battle Mercy comes in to keep things up. Juno ult is going to go wide, so it's not going to go on to the point, but the High Noon shuts down Duck, and the Pharah ult rather is not able to get any picks possible. Sojourn ult comes in, or the Molly comes in rather, it's not able to get any picks possible, and there's just too many points, too many kills on to the point. And unfortunately for the side of UAA, MSU will take the first map. Just very unfortunate, not really able to find the picks possible. Shout out to the Seraphim bundle on the very left side. But yeah, the Cass was just absolutely chopping down the wings of our Pharah and our Mercy there. So hopefully going into this next map on map 2, UAA can reset and hopefully find a comp that kind of sits against and just adapt mid-game. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to map number 2, Kings Row, ladies and gentlemen. You all love to see it. The best map in the game. We're going to be watching our Seawolves go at it up against a very strong MSU team. Starting off, we already are down 0-1 in the series, unfortunately losing out on Nepal, but Nepal is a map that we are not very comfortable on. Kings Row, however, we've played this quite literally almost every single series, so this is definitely not a strange or uncomfortable map or unique one, to say the least. So definitely going to be one that our Seawolves are very familiar with, so it's definitely going to be one excited to see. But we're up against a very interesting comp. We are running this Orisa, a little more of a brawly comp with the poke distance between Duck and Lord, but we're up against a very aggressive yet standoffish comp. It's kind of like what we were running with the ball, kind of that same theory of the Winston get in, do damage, but it's really all on to that Ana to land the anti-heal. The Ana and the Kiri, I was actually very intrigued if we were going to see the Life Weaver come through. Ring's going to come through, however, and that's going to be landing on the kill onto the turret, no matter. This is going to be Lord, unfortunately, falling. He hasn't really had the best game that we're used to him seeing. Surprised that we haven't seen the Ashe come out from him yet, but he has been practicing that Sojourn, and when he is on, he's on. So it's definitely one to be very interested in, but unfortunately, Orisa is going to fall after the rest of the remaining team is forced to back up. And a very interesting playstyle that MSU has gone with. The Winston didn't really do much. He kind of was just a flashy like asteroid that kind of just like flew past for a second. You know, you didn't really know exactly what was going on. Nice Suzu that's gonna come out to resemble the anti-heal that comes up from the Ana, but that Ana from the top lines is doing a lot of damage. Let's get a POV onto this Reaper that didn't actually TP back up to the top. No ults are going to come through, but the side of the High Noon is going to be answered from our two members, our two DPS, unfortunately, and it's going to be another unfortunate fight for our Seawolves as they're going to be forced to back away. At least our healers are able to stay alive and regroup so nobody is staggered for the meantime. This is going to have to force a lot out of our hand here. It looks like that the Cass will swap onto the Symmetra, which does provide a little bit more aggression for the side of MSU, but in that brawly comp, it's going to be a little bit scary for us. Anti-heal comes through, but followed up by the Kitsune Rush. If Lance is able to get inside of it, it doesn't look like it's going to be caught off by that Torbjorn ult, and wow, what a counter. What a counter. I mean, that was a nice ult from the side of Duck to initiate our team onto the fight, but that Torbjorn ult was perfectly placed. And I mean, you saw it there. Lance couldn't even step into the Kitsune to get all the buffs needed, and he unfortunately was just cut down. So now going up next, they're just trying to find any sort of wiggle room here, see if they can find any sort of picks needed. That's going to be the monkey down. Torbjorn still trying to find any sort of picks. Going to be fought back from the Kitsune Rush. He's going to have to TP out. Next one in line is going to be Lord. He's able to find the pick onto the Kiriko, the one that was dancing into the ult to begin with. We used Juno ult to go into this fight, and it's going to keep us alive just for the time being. So much the last one left. The remaining members are going to start coming back soon as that Reaper, or the Winston rather, is back, and the Reaper is going to have to respond and try to get this kill as quick as possible. However, unfortunately, the Juno is going to fall. We still have Ethos still online, but there's going to be not much heals until Duck has arrived. Kills come through from both sides, but unfortunately MSU is going to win for the short term. Anti-heal comes out. Nice Suzu to combat that. Spear comes through, and we haven't used our Orisa ult just yet, but I can see it in Ethos' eyes that he is looking exactly for it. He's looking for it. He's going to find a lot in this, and can you smell the Reaper from the back ends? Lance with the triple kill with the Death Blossom. Next one in line is that Torbjorn, and he's going to fall. A beautiful team kill and a beautiful stress off the shoulders of UAA as they finally have stopped the bleeding and put a band-aid over the onslaught from MSU. Swap's going to come through once again. It's going to be onto that Junkrat instead of the Symmetra. So other than the turret, there isn't really much direct damage per se. That's going to be the Suzu out. That's your go button to go. And Lord's going to take it and find 3 of his own. Finding through the anti-heal, he's able to finally fall from the Winston. A lot of damage has been done to UAA, but they're going to have to keep each other alive for the time being. And that's another team kill. Slap it on the highlight reel for Lord and Lance as they have finally woken up. This is the DPS that we have needed for the side of UAA. Our DPS have been struggling as of lately, but you can't count them out just yet. Off the back of some really nice heals and some really good aggression, good calls from the side of Etho, able to get the cast singled out. No swaps coming in just from the Zarya, but the bubble isn't going to do much. Kitsune Rush comes through, but this time the Torb isn't able to find enough value this time with that. With the Torbjorn ult, nice turret placement actually with the Symmetra turret, I'm assuming. I had no clue how he got it up there. Probably way earlier on in the round. But now we're looking like we're going to be losing the fight just a little bit, but this is nothing but just a regroup. Able to get their hands onto this point. That Orisa shield I haven't seen since Overwatch 1. Kitsune Rush is going to come in. The Kiriko is going to be able to fall. No bubbles from the side of Zarya, but she is charging it up. This Torb, we have to get out of our backlines, but that Zarya is just way too fully charged. Etho was able to open, doesn't find anything of it. Smokey able to get the last touch. That's going to be the Ana almost dead. That's the final blow. Now still looking for that Torb in the backlines, but it's going to be the healer, Juno, and the Orisa up against the Zarya and the Torb. Nice movements from the side of Smokey. She's able to keep herself alive, but Etho all alone in this corner, still trying to find any picks needed. He's able to get the Zarya. 1 health onto the Kiriko, and she gets out barely. Now, Etho did die there, but the car is a little bit too far for them to really do anything about it, and Etho will get back into the fight. Just enough time. Lord has to stay alive here though, or else they will start to steamroll this. Lance up from the top. He's up the top just looking and waiting. You already know what he's looking for. He's looking for the Death Blossom. He dives right onto the point. The bubbles come through. The Suzus. He's able to waste a lot of cooldowns and get out with his life. But still, the kills have to be capitalized on. Torb is going to be the first to fall. 4v5 now. Orb comes through. He's able to get the TP from behind. Able to do any sort of backstabbing needed. That Ana still with the Sleep Dart in hand. Anti comes out. The Casa is going to fall. Now, you just got to have the healers and the tank go next. 1 minute remaining. MSU is fighting for their lives, but UAA is just above the edge. Last one remaining is going to be on a little bit of a stagger. But that's going to be a nice cushion for UAA to hold here. MSU has pulled every mystery hero out of the bag and every rabbit out of the hat. With no ults, Graviton was used, but we didn't really see it be used as much or as effectively as we're used to seeing from the Zarya. It's all going to be up to Etho here, and we have 2 support ults building. Lance is able to take out these turrets, do as much damage as possible. Kitsune Rush is going to come in through, and Etho is going to be looking for his ult of his own. Still, unfortunately, is going to be feeding that Zarya. That's going to be a lot of damage onto it, but the Torbjorn ult is going to be inside of the Juno ult as well, doing damage and healing, and all of a sudden, ooh, UAA, we are unfortunately losing this fight as of right now. Lance is able to get the TP on. 10 seconds remaining. We at least have to try to get a touch to get this into OT. Etho with the swap onto the ball. The Kitsune Rush comes through. Is able to get as much heals as possible. But Etho falls. 2 seconds. No! We don't get it to OT. It's so close. So close. 0.77 seconds. 7/10 of a second. Unfortunate for the side of UA. But nice push from the side of MSU. Good adaptation. I mean, they were just swapping back and forth, and UAA finally was able to get a foothold into that corner. But the Torbjorn ult placements have been absolutely insane from the side of MSU so far. And because of that, they're able to win off in that first attack push from the side of Kings Row. But Can't count out UAA just yet. There's still a lot of Valorant. There's still a lot. There's still a lot of Overwatch to be played. So we're still definitely going to be able to see a very good push from the side of UAA, hopefully. We have a Widow from the side of Lord. A little bit more characteristic from him, as we're used to seeing him on those hit scan players. And if he's able to get, or he's probably just doing it for the information, actually. I totally forgot about that. You'll probably see a swap from him. Yeah, he goes straight onto the cast. Lance with the Symmetra, rather, though, is definitely one that we've seen in the past. TP up to the top right, or just TP straight onto the point. Actually, I don't know what the plan is here, but regardless of whatever it is, it's definitely an interesting one at that. A lot of damage comes through. It's going to be the TP onto the point. We see that two players are going to be on that high ground. Nobody's really there to combat it, however, but it's going to be Lance to get the first pick. He is very low, though. No heals are going to be coming into his sight. That's a lot of damage. A very good targeting from the side of MSU. They're able to take out our healers. Unfortunately, Etho's not really in the line of sight to get anything, and that's going to be the first hit, unfortunately, going in the hands of MSU here. I like the aggression from the side of UAA to start things off, but unfortunately, that high ground advantage, we just don't really have anybody but Smokey, really, to get up there. I mean, technically Curie, but those two definitely shouldn't be the ones to be taking that high ground. I would love to see a TP from height. If we're TPing to like the top right, I think that's exactly what they're going to be trying to do. We need to get the TP down as quick as possible. I would love that. TP actually goes in the backline, however. Take out this turret. Not a bad play whatsoever. The front line is burning, however, and Zarya just eats up all that charge. Etho is going to fall, unfortunately. And yeah, this is just looking like another unfortunate hit. We really need to see the high ground being taken away. Would love to see a TP onto the top right of Hotel, or whatever the building's called. Smokey is, wait, who is that? Is that Lord? Yeah, they are staggering Lord. And I mean, Etho's going to take advantage of it. Unfortunately, Spear is not going to be able to hit, but Kiriko is going to fall due to trying to help out their fallen brethren. Torrent is going to come through. Didn't really garner much, and that's also going to be the Graviton. So that's two ults from the side of MSU that has been used, and hopefully we'll see a little bit of a comeback here. We do have 5 ults in the bank going into this next fight, and this next push is definitely going to look a little bit weird on the map, ladies and gentlemen, as we're about to see, oh no, the anti-heal from the Ana. That's so unfortunate. I was gonna make a comment about how we're about to see 2 Symmetra walls, but we definitely won't be seeing that anymore, as Lance has swapped off to the Reaper. I mean, I like it now that we have somebody to at least take high ground with TPs, but I feel like we definitely could have made a play like that in the past. Zarya is going to be the first one to fall. I like the aggression alongside the Juno ult. Wall's not going to really be able to do much, as it's not onto the side of the point. And really, they just had to play LOS with this Symmetra here, as she's not really able to do much damage onto the point. Turrets are going to come through. Anti-heal come through as well. The Spear is going to meet the fate of the side of MSU. Lance Striker able to strike from behind, waiting for that sleep dart, but they're not going to be able to find it. The healers are going to be able to get away, but at least UAA was able to touch the point and get away. Nice TP here from the side of Lance to get Ana off of height. I would really love to see us not shooting bubbles. We are popping every Zarya bubble, and she's at 100 every single time. That time it was a nice time to pop, though, so good for me to cast or curse that Zarya. That was the goal all along. We need to get Ether some heals here, pushing into the next to the point, and this is a really good roll from UAA, taking as much space as possible, taking advantage of the Zarya being down. Nice picks from the side of Etho, able to get 1, not just 1, but 2. Lord finishing off the Ana there. And this is already starting off to be a really strong push from the side of UAA. 2 minutes to get to this checkpoint here. And from the side of MSU, I mean, they do have time for about one more fight, but all they really have is a Nano and a non-charged Zarya, so it's not really going to be able to do much. I wouldn't mind if we utilize maybe one or two ults just to get it over the edge here. And I can already see Ethos probably looking to capitalize off the Zarya hit. They actually don't have to ult anymore, honestly, but Lord's actually going to press Q, able to get nothing of it, but he's able to land the final blow. Torbjorn is going to ult on that point. His ults have been absolutely insane this entire game, but Lord doesn't care at all. He's able to get 3 of his own without the high noon. It's 6:30 p.m. and he's firing on all cylinders, ladies and gentlemen. 4 ults for the side of UAA and 3 minutes remaining. MSU is not even in a good place. As we saw last time, UAA, even though that they let them push all the way this fast, they were at least able to control the corner for as long as possible. And this time around, UAA has the control and has the stagger from the side of MSU and the ult bank advantage. All the advantages, all signs point towards UAA, and Etho is going to keep that legend rolling. Zarya is going to try to do her best to stop any advancements from the onslaught of UAA, but is just going to absolutely fall short of that. UAA is absolutely slaughtering the side of MSU, and with only 2 minutes and 25 seconds remaining, the wall comes out, but is that really enough? Flashbang comes through. Smokey's able to start it off with the Juno. Next fight comes through, and this is all about stalling now. We still have ults. Death Blossom comes through as the wall drops, and it's going to take out the Torbjorn. Orisa, last one remaining, is going to be coming through. Anti-heal comes through to try to get anything onto Etho and Duck, but the Suzu as well stops things. And UAA, it's high noon, ladies and gentlemen. We're 3 minutes up versus the 1 minute. Huge round on King's Row. Snowball after snowball for the side of UAA. They were just able to just find the correct timings, find and catch out the Zarya. You know, as much as I was saying, can we please stop charging up the Zarya? It actually worked, and we were able to. The reason why I think it worked so much was because usually when you're a charged up Zarya, you're like, oh, I'm 100, let me go in. But the thing was that ego just allowed UAA to fully focus and target the Zarya as she kept moving forward. And that just allowed us to get pretty much a free kill, so it kind of worked out. But yeah, definitely worked out for us, and they're going to keep going with the Zarya. A little bit scary with the Genji pick here. I do not know how strong Genji is in the meta so far. But it's going to be time to see. Only time can tell. Unfortunately, the last time going around, we did lose the first pick, and that was Lord. I would love to see him play a little bit more backline orientated. Especially now. Would hate to see a flashbang get deflected onto our entire team. And that's exactly where he's playing. Love to see this spot. That Orisa shield is disgusting. I'm sorry. Like, just seeing that just like gives me PTSD, even though I wasn't a Orisa main back in the day. Once again, they're finding a lot of shots onto this Zarya. Torbjorn turret from the perk is very annoying. The cast flashbang actually hits, not deflected. And UA just needs to back up, regroup, and then re-hit as they're doing just that. Last three remaining got to be the 2 supports as well as the tank. They're able to cut Juno off from the skies. And with only 10 seconds remaining, they're going to have to push as quick as possible. But MSU really have no foothold into this. And this is looking very good from the side of UAA. Last push comes through. 5 seconds remaining. We have to keep Etho alive. And Zarya is actually going to bite the bullet and take the coward's way out. Deflect comes through, and Lord actually takes out Smokey pretty much. But it's all good because UAA wins that handedly. And now we have one more round. And all UAA have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is get 1 tick. This is either a draw or a win now. So that's a good thing from UAA, is they've guaranteed themselves a draw. But we are not playing for a draw, ladies and gentlemen. We need this win, especially down 0-2 in the series, or 0-1 in the series, rather. Would definitely not be good to be going down 0-2. having their sights set on victory. UAA looking to take map 2 on Kings Row up against a double turret comp. We got the Bastion, we have the Torbjorn, and now more than ever we have to take the high ground to just absolutely dislodge the healers. Would love to see a Reaper TP to take that height, but wouldn't mind either the straight up brawl attempt that we're seeing, but unfortunately it's just going to be quick and easy for the side of MSU, stopping that first push, and we at least have time to reset here. Still 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. Good ult torch from the side of Duck, farming up that Kitsune rush, but that Bastion is just absolutely fiending in the back lines. Ring's going to come through, and that's going to allow us to turn the corner. Juno shot to come through to deal some sort of damage. Oof, unfortunate bomb there from the side of Bastion. I love the Reaper TP. I wouldn't have minded if he just stayed up there. I mean, we have range heals, but fighting alongside Etho looks like the game plan here. Suzu comes through to negate the anti-heal. Once again, Duck has done a really phenomenal job at doing so. Surprising no sleep dart comes through, but they're able to narrow it down onto Lance as he unfortunately has to use the CDs to dodge the sleep dart. And in all honesty, I don't think that we're going to be able to just dry push this site. We need to just stick this comp, build up ults, and then last minute just attack. Ooh. I don't know about Bastion v Bastion, but we do have double support ults, as well as the Kitsune rush, hopefully to come through. Shots are coming through. The sleep dart is going to come through in the end, but it's going to push us off. And now to start things off, Lord's able to get the pick. Duck following it up with a kill of the Bastion. Orisa ult comes through and is able to slam down, finish off the Torbjorn. Ana in the backlines has to get finished off here. She does. And now Orisa with her ult is able to slam down, but is not going to find anything. UAA do it. And they win Kings Row, ladies and gentlemen. Ether waving goodbye, waving to the stream. And this is going to be a fairly long series, if I had to guess, ladies and gentlemen. But now going into map 3 off of the back of a really nice game. We'll see you in the next one, ladies and gentlemen. started on Coliseum. Flying straight out of the point. Let's take a look at the team comps. It looks like we're going to be sticking with this one that we saw from map 2 with the Cast and the Reaper as our DPS, followed up by the tank of Etho on the Orisa with the golden gun, as we do have skins in this game now times. And the support lineup will be the same with the Juno and the Kiriko, as we've seen time and time again, up against a Soldier and a Sombra. So that Sombra is definitely going to be one to look out for in the back lines. But I mean, as I just say that, Sombra is able to take out Duck. Unfortunately, Suzu will be drawn out from the side of MSU, as our Kiriko has fallen. Unfortunately, that's going to be Etho next, and the first initial fight will go in hands of MSU. When it comes to these push maps, you have to win that first point, or else it's just going to be an uphill battle from then on. And unfortunately, we're seeing just that once again. So hopefully we're able to win another fight coming back into it. Or unfortunately, UAA will have a huge deficit to overcome. Looks like we're going to see an early swap onto the Moira, probably to sniff out that. Oh my god, how is Juno still alive? I don't know how Smokey was still alive there, just barely with 1 health. But this Moira is probably to sniff out the Sombra. I actually don't know if her damage orb will necessarily catch her out, but also provides her with a little bit more mobility, or probably just the same amount with both characters having their getaways. Zarya bubbles have been super beneficial from the side of MSU. And that Zarya is just pushing up, garnering so much space for MSU to push through. But here we go. Etho's going to be starting off with his ult, not able to find anything, but deals a ton of damage. It's just that Kitsune rush from the side of MSU is just able to push on through. And just like that, unfortunately, MSU is able to pass the halfway checkpoint and push past the bridge. The Zarya is definitely one. Juno is going to be coming through to combat against the EMP. Etho is able to get 3 of his own. The last one remaining is that Zarya. Luckily, this will not be the end, and UAA is able to breathe just a little bit. And that's actually really good for us. MSU did use both their DPS ults. That's the EMP and the Soldier sights down. So we won't be seeing those going forward. Etho just absolutely terrified of this Sombra, just shooting as much bullets as possible, trying to catch her out of that invis. She did get a rework, if I do remember, and now it's a little bit different with how her EMP or her teleports go. It only works alongside the the translocator. So it's definitely one to look out for. I don't know what her perks are and how that really changes anything. But going into this one, unfortunately, this fight is going to end fairly swiftly. But UAA was at least able to get some momentum on the board. Backs against the wall now, though. UAA is going to have to hold the line here if they want to secure themselves in the lead of this series. They did lose map 1 if you guys are just now joining in, but they were able to strike back on map 2 of King's Row. So to hopefully extend their series, they have to win this one. Graviton is going to come through, and oh no, they're actually pushing the robot. UAA has to get back. This robot is just charging onto the point. Are we able to touch? Oh my goodness, we almost just C9'd. Luckily, UAA is able to come back in touch, but that was nearly 2 meters away. EMP is going to come through, and it's going to shut down a lot of the remaining members of UAA. And now it's just all up to Lance Striker to try and continue his onslaught. It's going to be the ult to come through to keep them off the point. Etho, last one remaining, and he's able to win the fight. That's a team kill from the side of UAA, and they're able to at least push it a little bit farther, but Etho needs assistance immediately. He is just absolutely getting cut down here. He's trying to waste as much time as possible, but unfortunately he's going to fall. It's definitely a little bit scary for the side of UAA now. They're in dire straits. Luckily for them, MSU has done a poor job at building ults going into this next fight, as they've been using them to kind of reclaim the robot, which at least gives UAA just a little bit of momentum to push through for this. Etho's going to be coming in with his ult. He's able to deal as much damage as possible, but Lord's going to be able to get the final hit onto their main members, and Etho is able to get the pick. That's going to be both supports down. Juno is able to heal as much as possible here. And now that at least allows UAA to garner this robot and keep Soldier 76 a little bit staggered. They're going to get this final kill any second now. But now it's really just all up to who can save as much ults from the side of UAA and use them in the most impromptu times possible, because the thing is now is not only is UAA super far behind, but the thing is that they have to keep themselves with enough ults to not only reclaim the robot back, but also to keep pushing it further. And honestly, the way that MSU has been using their ults, it's been allowing UAA to actually come back into this game, and they're able to claw this back. And we've seen it on King's Row, the ability for UAA to snowball into the lead, and it looks like they're going to be able to do just that, getting these small little picks ever so often to just dislodge the 5-man attack from MSU. They're able to at least get some incredible staggers, and all of a sudden UAA is in hand of this game. Lance needs to regroup as much as possible, but the midget of Torbjorn is trying to regroup quick and easy. EMP is going to come through. That's going to deal a lot of damage. Lord's going to be the first to fall. Smokey on to the next. Lance finally able to rejoin the fight, looking for as many members as possible. It looks like they're targeting onto the Zarya, trying to get her, but the healers from the both sides are able to come through, and the Graviton and the grab from Zarya is able to end the fight. And right then and there, UAA once again is on the back foot. It was a really nice try from them. They weren't able to get to that halfway point, but they're not even halfway to how much MSU has pushed it, with only 2 meters remaining. Once again, we've seen this exact thing time and time again. UAA is going to drop off the bridge. Coalesce comes through. Be able to keep them alive for the meantime, but that's going to be another ult. Hopefully UAA saves their ults going forward. They're able to collapse onto the DPS on the back end, so that at least pushes them forward just a little bit longer. And all UAA members are alive. This would be a crazy comeback from UAA, from literally the depths, from almost losing to a C9, and then all of a sudden turning it around to winning the match would be absurd of a highlight from them. But it's all about who gets the first pick here. Sights are going to come through from the side of Soldier, but they're able to get the first pick. That's the Juno down, so the heals are going to be in favor of UAA. Having to keep everyone alive. Everyone is absolutely critical from the POV of Smokey, and the healers go down as well. But that's a 3-for-3 trade, and now it's just a 3v2 now. Sombra, next one up. She's going to fall, and the robot gets to the halfway point. They're turning the corner, and they're rumbling fast. UAA gets the halfway checkpoint and the advanced spawn. I like to play to give it up, regroup, and fight in this middle ground with an even playing point. You got a 5v5, not really many ults in both teams. I mean, you do have your EMP coming up fairly quickly, as we saw earlier, but that Kitsune Rush is going to be the one to come through. UAA has to play these LOS, play these corners, and try to get as much as possible before dying. Juno in response is going to be able to allow them to reclaim this fight. And although the EMP comes through, they're still able to stay inside of the Juno ult and stay alive as much as possible. The EMP was nothing but a slap on the cheek for UAA, and they're still rumbling down. Two DPS holds are in hand, and there's going to be the pop from Lance. He's able to get the 3 onto the board. 2 in response, but Lord finally deals the damage possible, and that's the DPS from UAA leading the charge and getting the team kill. And they're able to get past the halfway checkpoint. This gives Smokey and Duck the time available to get back after the fast spawn. So now they're able to come back as quick as possible with the Lucio and the speed boost. Lucio and Nemoy are a little bit of an interesting time there, but Lord there's able to snipe out the shadow of Juno. Unfortunately, Smokey coming off a spawn is going to catch the kunai from the enemy Kiriko here. Coalescent is still in hand, and they're still able to get the picks. It's overtime, ladies and gentlemen. UAA has to come back here. It's now or never. Sombra in the back lines. Coalescent has to come through anytime now, but Etho also has his ult. And MSU is falling one by one. All of a sudden, they were from the depths 3 meters away, and UAA is charging their way to victory. With only 6 meters remaining, no ults from the side of MSU to respond. They absolutely crumbled, and UAA from the depths was able to claw their way back to win map 3. What a comeback. Oh, yikes. And they steal the MVP. But what an insane match from the side of UAA to start from the absolute gauntlet and rise all the way up to take map 3. We'll see you in map 4, ladies and gentlemen. Now joining in, you just missed the most insane map 3 push of history. And now, because of that insane comeback, UAA has positioned themselves at match and series point to move on to the semifinals in the NECC Spring 2025 playoffs. But they still need one more map. Now on Saravasa, up against MSU White. UAA could do what nobody thought they could, despite being down in the underdog bracket. And now they're proving people wrong, starting it off strong, winning the first fight and taking that first point on the progression side of things for Saravasa. This Arisa team comp that they found with the Moira instead of flexing off from the Kiriko has definitely been one not to scoff at. Up against the Ramacha that we saw in map 1, it looks like MSU is going to be trying to go back to the drawing board to see exactly what worked. They were trying that Zarya comp, but unfortunately wasn't able to do them any good. Soldier is going to be caught out off the back of the spears from Etho, and now they're able to find the next one onto the healers, but the healers are actually keeping themselves alive. Unfortunate for Etho, not able to get the picks, and unfortunately for his team, Ramacha is able to punch his way into the back line. 60% remaining, and Etho's still gonna have to be forced to back off here and give them the point for the time being. Just that's just really unfortunate there. He had the play but just not able to get the final blow. Coalesce almost comes through, but she's going to get the final blow from the Soldier. Unfortunately, he's going to fall, and it's looking a little bit scary now as MSU has won the next 2 fights. UAA is going to have to group up here and hopefully get a nice ult push to come through, but as we've seen time and time again, that Torbjorn ult just manages to be just an absolute nuisance. %70 now. They're going to speed themselves in with the ring. Etho looking to try to get any picks as possible. That Juno is just barely flying away. The High Noon is going to be able to come through, and Lord is able to deal the final blow on 2. Torb is also going to fall. Kiriko and the healers, last one remaining. Juno, and UAA has reclaimed the point, denied overtime, and that's a team kill. And they should actually be able to just take this point now, unless Soldier's able to run and touch it to overtime. But the spear from Etho should be able to deny this. 5 seconds, 2, 1. They actually get the touch now. And this is going to be a little bit scary, but burning in the fire and the flames is going to be Etho. Slams the spear down and wins the fight. And the MSU actually elects to use the Juno ult here and the Soldier ult. So now they went all in. They put all their cards on the table, and it does not work out for them. All they have left is a Kitsune rush going into this next fight, going into this next point. And it's definitely not looking good for them. Prime spot for the side of UAA going into this next hill with the Death Blossom and support ult building up. But we already know in terms of ults, we are winning on that front. But in these dry fights where people are just looking at each other from cross map, we have to be able to sustain ourselves and keep ourselves alive for the time being. Kitsune Rush is going to come through off the back of the Blitz Rush, the Blossom rather, sorry, and he's able to get the kill. 2 in response though before the Ramacha falls, and we're able to stay alive for the meantime. Smokey and Ether are the last one remaining up against the Soldier, and they're able to get the kill. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very long series and my voice is dying. A lot of stuttering will come through, but we're able to at least hide the excitement for now as UAA takes the second point and they're able to move forward. Repositioning from the top ground wasn't the exact read that they wanted, but they're still able to charge and take the fight to MSU. This is what we like to see. Lord with the High Noons able to get the first 2 picks. Etho following it up with the next, and I mean, this is just a win. This is just a one fight. MSU needed that push map. They needed the push map. And they were 3 meters away from doing it. They were just 3 meters away, and unfortunately, they're not able to push it over the edge. With 5% remaining, MSU might be able to get the touch here. And they do. They're able to get the first touch, but Ethos starts things off with the first take. Torbjorn ult comes through, and that's going to be the coalescence to keep our team alive. Lord's going to have to, unfortunately, burn in the fire and the flames. The coalescence is going to come through to burn the remaining members, but ooh, would have loved to see that be used for healing, but once again, MSU went all in for that fight. They used pretty much every single ult going into that. Once again, this time they were able to win out on top, but I mean, that was only to get the overtime tick points. So, I mean, if you're UAA, if you're a fan of UAA, that's definitely a win to take, as you do have better chances of winning this fight in the long run going forward. Shield is going to get absolutely blitzcranked, but it allows Etho to absolutely get in their faces. He knows exactly what he wants to do. He's going to slam that spear down, and he's going to take them down with them. MSU falling one by one. Spear gets caught inside of Shadow, and, I mean, easy peasy for the side of UAA. 2-0 set match series point to go and lock their spot into the semi-finals. To be the third UAA team moving on to the semi-finals will be possibly this Overwatch team. As earlier in the week, we saw League of Legends do it. We saw Rocket League do it. We could not see my Rainbow Six Siege team doing it, unfortunately. But still, would love to see the Overwatch team succeed, as I was on their team last semester. And would love to join them again going into Nationals. Shield comes through. The heals are going to at least give them the time being. No ults from the side of both times, but Etho is able to get the final blow onto the soldier. Lord is going to fall in response, but he has his eyes set on this Juno, and we've seen time and time again, you know, when Etho is on that Ramattra, or when he's on that Junker Queen role, he's not able to get those picks onto the Juno, but with the Orisa, the long range, he's actually able to finally finish off these healers. I think Orisa is definitely a perfect character for him. It definitely matches the speed of his aggression. MSU is crumbling. It's really hard to see because they started off super strong, and their coordination with their ults, their rotations was actually really well. But UAA is just handling right now. Able to solo out these players, able to force ults out of them, and still come out on top. Love the aggression with the shields from the side of Orisa. Heals are going to come through alongside that Juno ult to keep them alive for the time being. They're able to push up, but Smokey's going to fall, unfortunately. Kiri for the trade by the side of Lance. And he's able to get out of dodge with his cooldown. Juno once again in the line of sight of Etho. And if you're in Etho's line of sight, you only have a couple more seconds before falling. Unfortunately for them, however, they are going to find themselves on the side of MSU State. He's just going to pop the ult here. Not going to find anything, but does keep himself alive for the time being. Still just looking and dodging his way to get out of this fight, and he's just going to end up... I mean, if MSU can't kill him, Etho's the only one that can kill him. So he's going to have to take one for the team and get a little bit of a reset here. And just try to build some ults. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I mean, obviously winning 3-0 would just be absolutely dominant, but I wouldn't mind building ults here and just trying to fight for that next point that go forward, depending on where it is. Maybe force some ults out of MSU, force them to use some ults, and then, you know, chalk up 1 point to go on to the next. But I mean, yeah, you see here the fight's kind of unwinnable. Unfortunately, they weren't able to drag out any ults from their side, but they were at least able to regain themselves and not really allow them to snowball here. Etho, unfortunately, is going to get caught out. That's going to force him to go through. Lord's going to give it up to himself as well. And not much ult charge was really gained there. We only have a coalescence up against the Ramattra, Juno, and Sombra ult. So that EMP is definitely going to be a little bit scary going forward. And that Torb perk of putting the turrets on the wall, I'm glad I don't have to play during this, because that looks so annoying to play against. EMP comes through, and yikes, yeah, that's just gonna be a quick pop. I mean, that's just a quick pop and reset. They used all 3 ults actually. Wait a minute. Surely UAA sees that and is gonna be able to capitalize on it. Hopefully they were able to count those ults and see that 3 ults were used when they didn't use a single one. I mean, sure, you win the fight if you're MSU, but at what cost? Now going to aggress themselves in with the Juno ring. It's going to be who's going to get the first blood. It's going to be Etho, quickly traded by Smokey, and they're able to get the turret. However, now Lord looking for that high noon. I already know he has his hands on the dial, hands on the stopwatch, waiting to try to see if he can get any sort of timing. He's able to get the Sombra, and now it's all up to the Juno of the enemy team. But UAA with the reclamation of the point. I don't even know if reclamation is even a word, but I just made it up, ladies and gentlemen, because right now UAA is 90% away from taking themselves to the semi-finals of this tournament, of this playoff bracket. All they really have to go up against is the Kitsune Rush. They do have high noon, however, so we're just waiting for Lord to pop that, and he does a little prematurely. It's able to push them off for the time being. However, Hack comes through, not gonna find anything. They're almost building up this Juno ult, but unfortunately she's gonna fall. Yikes. Little unfortunate for them, but that Etho ult, oh my god, it's massive. Oh my god, it's massive. Oh my god, it was almost massive actually. And they're unfortunately gonna have to fall. And I mean, earlier I did say it would kind of be smart to, you know, go back a peg and maybe lose 1 point, but unfortunately this time around they're actually gonna lose 2. So now UAA is still on set at match point, ladies and gentlemen. They're up 2-0 in this, or 2-1 in this series, but it's all, this map of Servasa is gonna come all the way down to this last point. And I mean, this series has been close, neck and neck all the way through. Able to start things off. They're going to be pushing off quick alongside that Juno ult. Ramatra ult's going to come through to bounce back off of the EMP that they got through. And although they were able to, I mean, that's a 1 for 2 ults. So, I mean, it's not terrible. We were able to get Coalescence off of that. And your 2 strongest ults from the side of MSU, being your EMP and your Ramatra ult, are down for the most part. So, it's not terrible. It's not terrible for the side of UAA. So, hopefully, going into this next fight, they're able to win it and capitalize off of the Coalescence that has been popped by Duck. Coalescence is going to keep everyone alive. Support and a DPS are going to fall. They're still trying to look for that turret that's in the top right corner. Not really able to find it for the time being, but they're still able to get the kills on the point. Play the LOS, get that turret off the wall. Etho's able to do it. Lance trying to keep himself alive with that Reaper passive from the heals, and UAA wins the fight. Now, looking at the ults, you have to see exactly, and hopefully they've been counting the ults going into this next one. You have Torb and Juno up against the likes of Etho, and both are DPS. So that Juno ult is definitely going to be a little bit hasty, but if Lord can have a well-timed high noon, he can absolutely shut it down. All up to the ults now. It doesn't look like he's going to wait, however. He's going to instantly pop it, and this time around, not going to find exactly what he wants. Was able to stall for a little bit, though. Smokey's going to get hacked, but the rest of the team is going to be pushing forward. Smokey trying to stay alive as much as possible. Lord finally gets the first pick onto the Ramatra. That's the first pick that you need. DPS also falls. Sombra next in line is going to fall as well, but they're already able to get the point. The Kiriko, a little bit of a C9, but UAA is able to reclaim it, but that was a couple of seconds that definitely could have changed the tides. We could be at like 75% right now, but we're a little bit 10% behind. Hopefully that doesn't come to bite us in the back later on. All the ults from the side of MSU have charged up though. Smokey needs to find any sort of ult percentage needed right now. She has to go fishing to get that 100%. Juno ult is going to pop. She needs to be shooting not the turret. She needs to be shooting the people. The ult isn't fast enough, however. She has to pop her ult now, able to at least get the speed ring and not get onto the point. Etho's probably gonna have to swap the ball here. There it is. The ball from Etho. He has to go in fast. He's gonna be stopped, however. He gets hacked. Don't tell me. No. Oh, we're going to map 5. We're going to map 5. I need a drink of water. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you in map 5 to determine the winner of this series. you grabbed your popcorn and your drinks, ladies and gentlemen, because this has been an absolute series. If you're just now joining in, striking first on map 1 was MSU White, but fighting their way back from the depths on the next 2 was UAA, and MSU finally reclaimed their throne right back, taking us to none other than a Game 5 on Route 66. The winner of this map, no matter what, will move on in the playoffs to the semi-finals, guaranteeing a top 3 placing in the NECC Spring 2025 playoff bracket. After 7 long weeks, both of these teams, one can only come out on top. One team season will be ending, while the other will be continuing for the next 2 weeks. Starting it off strong is going to be Etho, pushing up fast, trying to get as much momentum as possible for his team while the heals are still rolling in. They weren't able to get the first take up. That's going to be Lord falling, unfortunately, forcing them to fall back. It's going to be the Winston comp that we saw MSU run earlier in the game, however, and their high ground is just beating out UAA, unfortunately, for this time around. They're going to have to regroup and reset and look to adapt going forward. This Ashe, coupled by the Kiriko, is definitely going to be one task for Lord to handle here. Looks like UAA is going to give up here, possibly going for a last-minute strike to waste the time a little bit longer. But here we go. Somebody's going to have to drop onto the point before MSU touches it. That's going to be the contest that comes through. Now, looking for any sort of pick possible. It's going to be a lot of damage onto that Winston before he comes through. Suzu's going to be able to be reduced. Turret's still dealing a lot of damage, but Lord's able to take it out. Now, a little bit of a reset here. Everyone get calm and cozy and get those heals on the roll. Death Ball of UAA is looking to try to find any sort of pick possible. Looks like they're going to get that high ground. Almost gets C9 there by the Torbjorn. He's able to get the pick. No ult have came through yet, but the Torbjorn's going to be initiating the first strike. Smokey's going to fall before getting the orbital strike from the top ends. And that keeps them alive for the meantime while they're burning and flaming into those flames of Torbjorn. And now Lord's going to be the next one to fall. And unfortunately, Etho's next. And now UAA, despite saving a little bit more time for that first point, they are going to lose it out to MSU. Bob and Torbjorn ult were going to be the ones that are going to be used. Primal Rage is still in hand for the side of MSU. No ults exactly from UA have been used except for that orbital strike, so it's not terrible. You still do have a nice corner to play around here, but UA has to get set quickly if they're going to want to deal any sort of damage going forward. This Winston comp did prove a little bit hasty in previous maps, as we saw in Kings Row on that attack side. But now charging forward is going to be Etho. He C3s in his sights, and he's going to go for the slam. Suzu comes through a little too early, and he's able to get the slam down onto 3. Kitsune Rush comes through as well as the Primal Rage, but it's just too little. It's just too late. Torbjorn, last one remaining. He's going to get the next spear into the face, and now it's just the Primal Rage trying to find as much as possible, but he's going to have to rage quit out of this fight as UAA has staked their claim. Going forward, only one ult used from the side of UAA to combat the 2 from MSU White. And it's a very good look, but unfortunately for them, the positioning is a little bit awkward from the side of UAA, having to fight inside of this little gas canister, or the gas machine here, but it doesn't matter for the side of Etho and the Death Blossom from Lances. He's able to pick off one, but he's going to fall, unfortunately. Next up is Etho and Lord at the same time. And despite getting the nice pick onto the Winston there, it's going to be a little bit of a reset here from the side of UAA after a really strong fight. 2 minutes 50 seconds remaining. They still do have some really strong ults despite MSU not having much of their own. They are building up onto that Torb ult, which has been pretty unfortunate for us in the past. But nice TP here to at least get us the touch. Torbjorn in sight for the side of the Reaper. It's going to be really all the way up to Lord here, but MSU is going to be able to sniff him out. Lance has to take this high ground here as we really just don't really have that high ground presence. Versus the Juno, though, Lord's able to get the last pick. Bob from the back ends is able to deal as much damage as possible, but not able to protect the Ashe. The security guard not able to do much, and the coalescence from Duck able to get to keep UAA alive. That's 50 seconds drained, and the time keeps on ticking. UAA able to reset, and their ult usage has been absolutely phenomenal. Lord, known for saving that Q. Let's see if he's able to press it at the opportune time. UAA looking, fishing to try to get any sort of picks possible without not dying on their own. Beautiful shots from the side of Lord to shut down the Ashe. That's the first pick that you need. That's going to be the orbital strike that comes through. They're able to shut down the turret as well and push even further. Lance with the next onto the healer, and MSU has to tuck their tails and start running. Starting to join the fight is going to be in this little saloon here. And that's going to be another stagger from the side of MSU White. Beautiful stuff from the side of UAA. All started off with our DPS player of Lord. We were talking about him pressing Q and telling us where that high noon ult is, but we haven't seen it just yet. Still 1 minute remaining. And this is going to be an all-out brawl going into the latter half of this time. 60 seconds left. And he's going to actually pop it in the face of the Winston. And despite that, he's been able to at least get the first pick onto the Ashe this time around. But it's going to get instant traded from the side of the turret. Orisa ult comes through once again. He's able to slam it down onto the Juno. And that once again is another UAA fight win. But hold on. Primal Rage does come through. Is able to stall just enough for MSU to come through without losing your Winston. I've never seen that spear throw from the side of Orisa, but that must be one of the new perks that are added recently into the game. Hanzo, a little bit of a Hanzo swap from the side of MSU, and that's another pick from Lord. The first blood percentage is another. Tag it onto his name, put it on the tab, and that's Hanzo down. Lance getting into the fight as well, and UAA have done a phenomenal job at shutting out MSU White, only pushing it to the first checkpoint and a little bit further. Beautiful stuff, and now UAA has set themselves up for a very winnable game here. They have to push it to exactly that point right before the second checkpoint, 84 meters, and they can cash themselves in to the semi-final match. It is all up to this. They've done the hard work on the defense. But are they able to muster up all the energy? This has been a long series, ladies and gentlemen. What a lot of people don't talk about is the absolute strenuous matches that these esports players have to play, especially in these long drawn out matches. Guys, this stream has been going on for 2 hours now. These players have gone through a lot of gaming so far. You might try to compare it to just an average ranked night, but these are the top level, okay, maybe not the top level, but some very high level gaming, way beyond your average competitive game. And this could take a huge mental toll on both teams, physically and mentally. So to fight up against that, it's going to be all up to this one round. Can UAA do it? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're here cheering for UAA, please make some noise in the chat. They need your energy right here, right now, to propel themselves forward into the playoffs, to guarantee themselves a top 3 placing. Or top 4, rather. Here we go. Who wants it the most? Ring comes through. It's going to be able to initiate onto this Ramachi. He's going to have to go into form to try to sustain all the damage that he's taken. But Duck from the backlines is going to fall, unfortunately. And after all that damage, they actually weren't even able to do a dent onto that Ramachi. And he's able to strike back and do enough damage to strike out the remaining members of UAA. A little bit of damage there onto the payload, rather. Gets it around the corner, but not going to be able to exactly do the damage that they want. But as we saw, I mean, it was a little bit easier for them to play around the high ground disadvantages that UAA had. But this time, I mean, on the attack, you have to have presence on both fronts, whether it's the bottom or the top on your attacks. And I mean, a lot of their fights, unfortunately, are very one-sided or one-dimensional on these floor levels, and they're forcing MSU into these fights. But I mean, the brawl is just a little too strong for them to handle. And that's unfortunately another fight lost. 2 minutes remaining to decide whether or not they're able to push that checkpoint and extend the time. But they have to figure out a way to take this high ground. They have to. There's no other way, if ands or buts around it. I mean, whether it's swapping to the Winston or whether it's taking a very long route and going all the way around the gas station, I mean, they have to do something. I mean, even if Etho just presses Q and pulls them all off with the grab surge, whatever would work would help them immensely. Sune Rush is going to come through, but Etho pulls them all through. Suzu's going to be used. No picks have been going in favor for UAA until then for the Kiriko, but the numbers still don't favor them. 70 seconds remaining. This is looking a little scary now for the side of UAA. MSU has so many ults in their hand, and UAA just doesn't have the ones needed. They have to build ults, and they have to build them fast. Coalescence, they do have both support ults to go into this. But they have to find a pick. They have to find a blood here. They just have to catch somebody out. Hanzo is going to go through. It's not going to find anybody, but they're able to get the first blood. That's what we needed. Now, Juno, next one in line, but that's going to be the two ults coming in from the sides of MSU. But no, the supports from UAA fall. 25 seconds. They have one more push. MSU used all their ults there. UAA still has some to keep the match going. But this is going to be close, ladies and gentlemen. I'm on the edge of my seat right now. It's all or nothing for UAA to keep their hopes and dreams alive. They have to go all in. Both support ults are going to be used at the same time to keep them alive here. Lance is going to go from the top side to take that high ground. He's flanking with the Death Blossom. You already know he's coming through it, and he's able to find 1, 2, and 3 from Lord. There, Hanzo is able to strike back and get the one alone. But they're at least finally able to win a fight. But that used every single one of their ults there. And they have to pray they get this touch without MSU coming back in time. And they do. Thankfully, UAA is able to extend the time just a little bit longer. 2 minutes now will decide everything. There's no extensions from here on out. There's no more lifelines for UAA. This is all they have. All or nothing. They have to push it to this 84-meter mark if they want to stay alive in the playoffs. All the cards are on the table. This is it. To cap off not only an Overwatch season, but the collegiate year. We might not see these players again going into the next semester, and Etho knows that. Slams the spear down to able to get the first. The Hanzo ult comes through, but it's not able to do enough damage. The turret is doing a lot of damage, though, to Etho's face. The Kitsune Rush is able to come through and deal as much damage as possible, but Hanzo from the top end needs to try to survive for UAA to cut him down, and he's the last one remaining once again. UAA is stumbling and rumbling onto this site. They only have 15 meters remaining. And MSU is nowhere in sight. The Juno ring comes through. It's dire straits for MSU, but UAA keeps on pushing. Suzu comes through, and Lord with the high noon is able to get the fadeaway kill before dying. And then Lord, Lance Strikers rather, the next one remaining. 1 minute left, and Etho's doing everything he can to try to stay alive with both supports. All the heals have been exhausted and used. Ramacho and Tracer are the last ones remaining. The Ramacho ult is able to come through, but the DPS from UAA have to come in as quick and clutch as possible. 50 seconds remaining. They were not able to do it in time. So now it's a reset. Ramacha ult has been pulled. No ults from the side of both teams. Duck, the only one close. And 40 seconds now for UAA to cement themselves into the semifinals. We're right back again to the all or nothing scenario. They need your support, everyone in the chat, all the Seawolf supporters. Unfortunately, Lance is going to fall, but they're still able to keep on rumbling, and they'll probably do it and have to do it without him. Tracer's going to be the next to fall, but Ramacha from the back end is going to catch out Lord. 8 seconds remaining. It's all up to the coalescence of Duck and Etho. He's able to get the terrain. He pulls the spear down. No slam. He's not able to get the kills. The shield from Ramacha was able to keep him alive. He's able to at least get the supports back in time. Smokey and Duck have to keep him alive now. The remaining supports from this side of UAA are able to come through, but it's just not enough. Heartbreaking loss for the Seawolves. An insanely close game, close series on both teams. GG's in the chat to MSU White, and good luck for them for the rest of the playoffs. And that is it for our season, ladies and gentlemen, for the Overwatch 2 team. Thank you all for the support for the last 8 weeks. We appreciate you guys. The last 2 remaining teams for UAA in the playoffs are League of Legends and our Rocket League team. Both games will be on Tuesday and Thursday. Very heartbreaking. We'll see you guys then. Thank you for watching.